Now we will begin with our first item, which is the Public Works and Infrastructure Committee item PW 24.15 on the Jarvis Street streetscape improvements. Mayor Miller.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Thank you, members of council, and thank you, members of the public, for being here today during Bike Month in the City of Toronto for this debate. And I just want to start by making a couple of observations. First of all, it's my understanding that this item passed unanimously at the Public Works and Infrastructure Committee, which I think speaks to the true merits of the item. And I want to commend Councilor RAE for the significant work he's done on Jarvis Street for a number of years. The plans for this have been in the works for a very long time, and there's been extremely extensive public consultation. And I think, like many issues that come before us, there is a little bit of tension between how do we work as a neighborhood to improve our neighborhood as a place to live and a place to work. Between that and how do we accommodate people from elsewhere in the city. I want to be clear what members of council are being asked to approve today. They're being asked to support the taking of one lane of Jarvis away from cars, to share it by turning it into 2 lanes to allow cyclists to cycle safely on Jarvis, and to allow for a plan for significantly improved streetscaping to bring back Jarvis Street to the kind of grand boulevard it once was. Those are very simple requests. And frankly, I am amazed that anyone looking at Toronto and seeing whether this city can allow cyclists to cycle in safety or not could possibly say that taking 1 lane of traffic to create 2 lanes of safe cycling for cyclists on a street that intersects with 3 east-west bike paths could possibly be the wrong thing to do. You know, I was just in Seoul last week as the chair of the C40 group of cities, partnered with the Clinton Climate Initiative to work on strategies to fight climate change, because cities are acting around the world. And to see what cities are doing around the world compared to this extremely modest proposal is remarkable. In Seoul, for example, they had a 2-level expressway down the middle of their city, like the Gardner, but with another level on top of it. Imagine the amount of traffic that carried. The previous mayor, who's now the president of Korea, President Lee, led the charge to remove that expressway, open up a previously existing river, and they now have a river running down the middle of the street instead of a 2-level expressway. Are we asking members of council to make that kind of strategic and brave decision today? No. We're simply asking members of council to support the very strong work that's been done by the local councillor in conjunction with city staff through the environmental assessment process to allow for 1 lane to become, of cars, to become 2 lanes for cyclists, and to allow a rejuvenation on Jarvis Street. It's a neighborhood. There are schools. There's high schools. 2 public schools, Councillor Wright, and the National Ballet School. It's a place where people work. It's a place where people deserve to be able to walk and cycle in safety. The final point I want to make, and it's a very important one, transportation is not about moving cars. It never has been, never should be. Transportation is about moving people. That's how a great city works. That's how New York City works, for example. How do you move people? Well, first of all, everybody. Whether you choose to drive a car, ride a bike, walk, or take public transit, you start your day as a pedestrian. So every place in this city has to be safe for pedestrians. And if you look at the scarce road space we have, how do you ensure its use is maximized? We have a $10 billion asset in roads. How do you ensure that that space is maximized to create the least problems for cars, for drivers, for gridlock? Well, you use it in the way that allows the most people to use it. How many bikes fit where 1 car does? How many buses and how many people in a bus fit where 3 cars with 1 driver does? We know those figures. By giving priority to transit and by allowing cycling as a safe alternative, you can maximize the use of road space, which in the end is good for drivers. In the end allows people to get around this city simply and safely. When I speak to drivers, I hear them say, we don't like bikes using our lanes. We don't like the way some of those cyclists ride. Well, the way to ensure that there's no conflict and we can all use our roads in safety is when there's an opportunity to build safe bike lanes. We have that opportunity on Jarvis, and I think we should seize it. That certainly would send the message that this City Council is serious about addressing transportation, it's serious about addressing public safety on the roads, and it's serious about our environmental issues. I know this council votes again and again in that way, and I certainly hope it does today. Thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Madam Chair.